Hello and welcome to Market Minute Mania with Birch and Birch Team Leads, Morgan Birch and Bill Birch.
Hey.
Dad, hello.
It's really great to be here.
We are going to do this hyperspeed.
Let's talk about some numbers. You ready to go?
Let's rock and roll.
If you
Here's
don't
the
mind,
market right now.
This is we track absorption rates. That's the number of homes that have been sold divided by the number of houses that are coming on the market or that are for sale. Typically anything north of 30, 40, 50% is a buyer's market. And that's where most of our markets are at the bottom when you look at the screen. Let me go to see if I can drag this over here a little bit more so you can see more of this. West New York, Hoboken, Union City, North Bergen, they're all down here at this bottom area at the suburbs. Generally speaking, that's this yellow line right here. Absorption rate, which shocks me, is approaching 200% in the suburbs in general. And check out Montclair.
Yeah.
It's approaching 300%. So that's unheard of. I've never ever seen anything like that before. But what's happening is that it takes about 6 weeks to close on a property. So I think of course I thought this last week, we're seeing a peak. But now there are far fewer people. We're going into the holidays. We're in the holiday season, and people are not listing their houses now. So the inventory is drying up. But all those closings, all those deals that went into contract 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, they're all starting to close now. So the sold numbers are really skewing the numbers. But it does make me worry a little bit that if you are one of those people that just closed or that will be closing in the next few weeks, that you indeed bought at the top.
Yeah.
And if you were thinking about moving in 3, 4, 5 years, it's not, you may get your money back. And I think that's likely that you'll get your money back because it looks like property is going to appreciate really well this next week or next year. Nationally, I think the estimate is 8% increase in property prices.
Nice.
Nationwide average.
Nice.
And I think, but I think that they've seen what they're going to see out in the suburbs. Now I think it's going to swing back on all those lines you see at the bottom that have been dragging behind.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see the northern New Jersey suburbs, central New Jersey suburbs, the Montclair areas, South Oranges. I think they're going to flatten off and come back down to the area that these are at.
Yeah. Do you mind zooming in on this graph a little bit? On a phone, it's going to be super tiny.
Okay. And there you go. I'll have to make my screen bigger.
Just scroll. No, you're fine. Just scroll over.
Okay. Did that just take us right back to where we were?
Yeah.
All right.
Leave it. It's fine. It's fine.
Anyway, sorry everybody. But I think this is there's gonna be a little bit of a role reversal here, not quite as extreme.
Yeah, like a wave of urban New Jersey starting to see an increase.
Yeah, and I think I've seen my business pick up.
100, yes.
Pick up the last 10 to 14 days.
Definitely. Yes, and talking to other brokers too, it feels like a spring market. It actually kind of feels like a spring market in Manhattan as well.
It does. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to jump into my 3 market highlights because we're trying to
go for it.
So one, speaking of New York, where we also work there, New York lost $1.2 billion in real estate tax revenue this year. Sales of commercial and residential properties are down 49% this year, and tax revenue makes up 53% of the city's operating budget, although property taxes, which have remained steady, bring in far more money than real estate transfer taxes. So it has definitely impacted the city's income, although it's not the primary source of income, but it is one of the higher ones. So that's interesting to see how New York's going to handle that, because if they raise the taxes in any way, they will be running more people out of the city, which is kind of the problem right now. So it'll be
there was a huge amount of buzz about that earlier, before COVID.
Yes.
It was like there was this pent up frustration with the way New York City continued to not really improve things much anymore, but spend the money and took in all of this extra tax money
And raise taxes. Yes.
and raised taxes. And there was just this real frustration. And then when COVID hit, it was like a switch went off, and everybody said, I'm out of here. I've had it. I'm moving to Florida. I'm moving somewhere warm.
Yeah.
I don't need this. I can go to a place with no state taxes. I can go to a place with a lot lower property taxes. I can go to a place with a lot lower than this. And I can just change my address. And frankly, when you look at just a bread and butter 2-bedroom condo in Manhattan, it's like $1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Sell it. You can buy a pretty nice place for $500,000 to $750,000 in Florida.
Yep.
And you can buy another place somewhere else and not pay state income taxes and pay a lot less on all the other fronts.
Yeah, there's an article in Bloomberg, and it's only talking about the highest paid people, which is important to note, because I have clients who are part of these companies, but are lower on the totem pole.
Right.
So
they're not in the C-suite.
Yeah. So the C-suite people, and the people really people slightly below the C-suite as well, but the people who are making millions a year, those people, in general, Blackstone and other companies like it have approved. There was an article in Bloomberg where they were like, we've switched our whole format for the foreseeable future because we are still having increased profits in spite of a lesser number of people being in the office, and our higher paid talent wants to be in Florida where the taxes are lower and the weather is warmer, and they will go to a different company. So we're fine with that. And a lot of the biggest financial institutions are doing that. The people who are not the highest paid still are going into the office. As a matter of fact, they're being encouraged to go into the office as much as possible right now, which is interesting. So we'll see how that plays out with the market, how long what that will do to the luxury market versus the rest of the market. We'll see, but that's interesting. Another market highlight, the home builder confidence has dropped for the first time since April this week. So the number one selling all nationwide, and we have witnessed it here too, homes have been single family new construction homes. And there've been crazy bidding wars going up 50% over ask in almost every price bracket. So it's been intense there, and home builders have been just trying to keep up. And now that has dropped down, not significantly, like by a couple percent, but it's at least starting to kind of ebb a little bit.
I wonder what's tempering that, because there are housing studies that say that we're short on housing, and housing demand should remain high. Do you think it's the fact that there are so many people that aren't employed or that have lost their jobs, or
I don't know, because most people buying new homes have a more stable job, because resale is a lot more affordable than new construction. So your income is probably higher in general for your area if you're buying a new home. So I think it's that there was such a surge and such a surplus that now that surge has started to slightly lessen. So I think it still is the number one demand, but it's less. The demand has slightly lessened. So
okay.
That's my guess, but no one really knows why.
Like interest rates are going to be low for a long time.
Yeah. I mean,
we keep having record lows, but actually becoming a record low, we're talking such a minute difference. And I think we've had 10 record lows since we've refinanced our condo. And I think it's about 0.15% difference or 0.2% difference.
It's so crazy. Yeah. I mean, and then if you have any kind of investment, having fixed income, which has always been that safety net, you get yield from that, you get percentage. Well, that's not really an option now unless you go really high risk, but that's the opposite of the reason you usually get fixed income products. So it's interesting to see.
I think if I can go out on the limb for a minute.
Yeah.
I was wrong about this during Obama's administration, because when we were swimming our way out of 9/11 and going through, I thought by the time it hit Obama that we would be seeing some inflation from that.
Yeah.
Because we printed a lot of money then. We did not. We are printing an insane amount of money now.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that we are going to see inflation again. And that was full disclosure. I was wrong last time, but I think it again. And I think I have more reason to think it this time. But I think we'll see some decent inflation. And if we do, there's fixed assets are a great place to have your cash. So real estate, for
Yeah.
an example, if indeed the national average on real estate goes up 8% this year, it costs you, let's say 3%. 3% to have it, that's a 5% difference. You're getting a 5% return,
Yeah.
and that's on borrowed money. That's not even on your when you take that multiple, your return on the cash investment on a home with a 10 or 20% down payment is going to be significant. So
Yeah.
it's smart to buy a house, get into, borrow as much as you can, put down as little as you can, keep your house nice, make it a little bit better, hang in there. And this next year, you should be in great shape. Next few years, I think. Plus, if there's truly inflation on top of that, I think a lot of renters right now, I
Yeah.
know the rent is super cheap, and you're thinking, well, I can't afford to buy it. Well, that's today. You're right. That is today.
Yeah.
But today is not every day for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's also an incredibly cheap time to buy a house. Not everywhere, like we talked about in the suburbs, but if you were along the river in Jersey, or if you're in Manhattan, or somewhere where it's been more vertical and dense and those property values have gotten hurt, those prices are cheap and interest is cheap, and those are going to come back. I don't know if they'll come back as far as they were before, but even if they come back 5 or 10%, and you take that return on investment on what you actually put down, it's incredible. It's a wonderful
Yeah.
return on investment. So don't dink around. Buy now. I'm
Uh,
telling you that too, by the way.
okay.
Darling.
All right. I hear you. I don't disagree. Okay. And then the final interesting market update is that Keller Williams just dropped their mobile apps that's called Smarter Agent. So basically they had an app that was kind of similar to Zillow, but agent focused. It was called Smarter Agent. Keller Williams is, I believe, the largest franchise brokerage in the nation. And so supposedly all their agents were using that app, but now they've just gotten rid of it. They acquired it in 2018, and now they've totally dropped it, got rid of that tech side entirely. And that's interesting, mostly because a lot of brokerages are trying to compete with Zillow on the tech side, and they cannot. So they just kind of give up and are like, all right, let's just not waste money on here anymore. Compass is still very tech heavy and competing with Zillow in ways that Zillow's not even doing. They're doing things that Zillow can't do. So we're really proud to be part of Compass because we're watching them use tech very well. And we're watching our own clients, as soon as we introduce them to that, love it.
Yeah,
so
they're aggressive. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
I mean, they're constantly, and I love this isn't a program about Compass, but we love everything that we're seeing, and Compass is moving very quickly, and it's not just BS. It's like, we're rolling this out. We've got a meeting on this day to see this.
Yeah.
Oh, we're upgrading this. Can we do this? It's hard to keep up. You're out with clients doing your stuff, and you're getting updates on your phone that they just updated a process that we just learned a few weeks ago, and now it's even better. So
that's the thing.
They're
That's
moving
the key.
really quickly.
It's usable. It's always, we made this more usable. Hey, we made this more usable, which is it's so cool. It's so rare, and it makes me feel really proud to be part of the company.
Yeah. If anybody out there, if you're listening and you're not with Compass and you've thought about it, contact us. Let us know.
Please.
We'll be happy to transparently show you the environment that we work in and how it works.
Yes.
Granted, it was not easy jumping ship from a wonderful company like Element to Compass, but we're really glad we did. And
we're very happy.
The longer we're here, the happier are we. We did it when we did, because the sooner you make a switch to a format like we're in now, is the better.
Amen. All right, that was our market mania. We were gonna call it Market Minute Mania or Minute Market Mania, but
we talked too much.
You know what though? It was valuable information. I don't care.
Okay. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Give him the Don Draper.
That's right. Thanks
Okay.
for joining us, everyone.